your content, so I'm taking their word for it and gonna talk. I want to talk to you in good faith, and I know that there has been what some might consider drama or beef going on between you, me, and Luna, and some other people developing for some time. So I just want to address that and give you the opportunity to respond to some questions and things like that. So does that all sound like what we kind of agreed to in the emails?
Yeah, my pleasure. No, this is a bit of a novelty for me. Normally when people disagree with me, they sort of just take shots on Twitter. I actually have a lot of respect for people who like hashing it out. Whatever my reputation might precede, I do actually enjoy just calmly talking about disagreements, But yeah, hit me up. You sent me an email the other day, and some people in chat were complaining, like you put out a video talking me. But in the email, to your credit, you did say, "Hey, I'm going to put this video out, so don't interpret this as some kind of like sneaky, So yeah, I don't think they have anything to complain about."
Nope. There are channel points that are set where you can interact with the stream. I need to do more things that enable you to do it, but no, it does absolutely nothing for me. If you're talking like materially, besides enabling you to just like TTS and interact.
Yeah, and then also, people have differences about what's appropriate and what's not. One of the reasons I put the video out before the conversation was because I wanted to kind of formulate my thoughts and have some sort of basis to speak on. So I do want to try to get I want to give you an opportunity to respond to some of the things I said. I doubt you've had time to watch it because it was a very long video, and it's only been like maybe 11 hours since I uploaded it. So
no, I'm afraid I have not. I saw some people in my community reacting to it. Some liked it, some didn't. I'm known for having a disagreeable community, so I guess I'll see when I see.
Wait a minute, let me just. Okay, so all right, so yeah, I think we're all on the same page about that stuff. So the meta discussion, I guess, is out of the way. We can talk about the real issues.
Yeah, hit me up.
Okay, so there's three things, and I told you in the email, like 3 things I really wanted to kind of talk about, and the first thing is
I fucking hate emails. The day I need to get like emails and do emails every day is the day I stop streaming. The last time I logged into Twitter, it's like 2 weeks ago.
Our modest fellowship expands.
Jesus.
Praise the sub.
Ring.
About and I don't expect this to be a very long discussion, the first part. I want to just talk about the responsibility that we have as creators that have a large platform.
Thank you for the primer.
You and I both have pretty large platforms. I've got like over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. You have, I don't know, what are you up to now? You're pretty big.
It's like 360, 370, somewhere there, I think.
Yeah, well, you have a ton of people watch your stream. I mean, you have very impressive numbers in terms of watching your live streams. So I think it's safe to say that we both have pretty substantial platforms. So I guess the first question I would ask is just in general, do you agree with me that when somebody has a large platform, it comes with a certain responsibility?
Yes.
Okay. I figured you'd agree with me on that. And do you also agree that part of that responsibility is trying to develop an understanding of your audience? And because, your audience is not a monolith, my audience is not a monolith. There are different kind of like sort of divisions within every audience, right? So you kind of have to get to know your audience and understand how the different sections of your audience are likely to react, and just kind of be familiar with your audience, right? And so, I mean, do you agree with that? I guess I'll ask first.
I don't know if it's a moral obligation, but it's definitely a good idea.
Okay, yeah. Well, here's why I think that, I don't know about the word moral, but here's why I think it's important for people, especially doing political activity, like discussing political topics and that sort of thing. I think it's important because obviously we influence our audiences, right? And if you were doing like unboxing streams or just like let's play videos or whatever, I think that the degree of responsibility can vary. But when you're talking about political things, you're influencing people politically, and you also have to know that there will be like mutual impact. So like you might say things and then they'll go out and do things, and vice versa, right? So I guess that's the basis of my next question, which is, you must realize that because you debate people on the far right quite a bit, and because of the nature of what you do with your debate streams, that sort of thing, that there are a large number of right-wing people who watch your show.
I don't know if there are a large number of right-wing people who watch my show. There probably is a good number of politically undifferentiated people, but at least in the communities that I've seen and cultivated, my YouTube comments, my Discord, my Reddit, whatever, I think the closest right bent I have is an annoying group of liberals who insist on watching me. Apart from that, I don't think I have many hard right followers.
Okay, yeah, and I'm not. I don't want to use any like loaded terms like audience or followers or community. I just think that it stands to reason that if you're regularly having discussions with people on the far right, there will be some overlap between your audiences. Some of them are going to come over and like hate watch you. You know, like I even get hate watchers on my channel, so I know there's an element of that. But yeah, I guess my point is, if you know that there are right wingers, even if it's in law of large numbers, you have thousands of people to watch your stream. So even if it's like a small percentage of your audience, that's still going to mean there's like maybe hundreds of people, that are fascist or racist watching. That's possible. I don't want to debate about the numbers or whatever, but I guess, okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next point of my platform here, and then I'll let you just totally respond to my point, because I'm almost done making my point. So if you have, if it's true that there are any right-wingers watching you, that's one thing. And then another way to know, I guess a metric of whether you have right-wingers or not, is how people engage after you've done something, right? So like if I make a video, I'm gonna try to gauge the outcomes. I'm gonna try to watch what people are saying on social media about it. I'm gonna go to Reddit and check that out. I'm gonna check the comments on my channel, whatever. And so what
Dude, I should do this. I don't. You know what I personally do in situations like this? Instead, I personally refer to trusted individuals that I interact with on stream pretty consistently. People like Wicked Supreme is one of my go-tos. Booksmarts being one of my go-tos. That Lucifer guy we were taking a look at earlier. Some of my go-tos, obviously, people like that I'm friends with on this platform as well. People like Cherry and shit. These are my go-tos for people that like I'll actually care to hear shit out from. If they are like, hey, I felt like you could have done this better and that better and that better, I'll be like, oh shit, all right, okay. Because these are people whose opinions I take highly. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna go to Reddit for any realistic critique. I'm just not gonna do that. One, I'm too lazy. Two, I just don't think there's enough value to be discerned from that. I just really don't. So that's my position on it. So I'm just kind of in a position of refusing to do that shit.
I've noticed, and a lot of people have noticed, is a pattern where whenever you talk about somebody who is, shall we say, marginalized, black or trans or person of color or what have you, that there's a tendency for those people to receive a lot of kind of like after effect collateral damage in terms of harassment, threats, and other kinds of like, disturbing attacks like that. Now, I've seen it happen with Luna because I'm married to her. We spend a lot of our time together. I monitor, I help her administrate her comments and that sort of thing. And I also know other people who have shown me similar results, So I guess my first question is, are you aware of that, or would you deny that that's something that happens?
I think I'd mostly deny it. There's a whole narrative about my community harassing people, but in spite of nearly 3 years of trying to track down the people actually doing this, I've yet to be provided a single piece of evidence of it actually happening. Usually the initial claim is some very severe...
What? That is bullshit. I'm sorry. That is just what? Isn't, what's their face, Gay Fesh or whatever in his community? Yeah, and not to mention this is an ever statement. That person called me a pedophile. Wait. Or, excuse me, what was it? Least pedophilic DJ? I forget what they meme on. They, like, did this with, like, a bunch of people. Did this with Hans and shit? Saying dumb shit. What does this mean? What do you mean you haven't been directed towards this shit? Okay, there's a big difference, Vaush, between ignoring it and fucking not happening, okay? There's a big difference there. I think we should recognize that. Gayfesh, Hyena, Conquer, these are 3 people I could think of that have attacked multiple people. Yeah. He said he is yet to see it. People send it and he closes his eyes. Yeah, that's what I mean. God damn, dude. Holy shit. Trying to get RGR disbarred? Yeah, not harassment, by the way. It's not harassment, by the way, because he said to do it. Oh, yeah, I think we should actively... what was it? Forget the quote was. Is like anybody that associates with her should be, I forget, like demeaned or some fucking shit is what he said. It's a good meme, man. It's a good meme. Advice to follow.
or Vaush community, harassing, like really bad stuff, right? But then I get some
forgot the
screenshots.
exact
It's usually
quote,
people
and
just
I
being
don't
kind
wanna
of mean, which I'm
paraphrase
fine
too
with. I
much.
have a problem with people being mean to people I don't like. I guess it's
Yeah, the
possible that this
cop who's
happens.
having
it's just
a
not something
panic
that I've been
attack
provided
to
substantive
told
evidence
his,
of. If it can be provided, I'll ban those
community
people from
make
my
fun of.
community. But yeah, outside of that, I don't think it's I just
Sorry,
don't think it's that much of an issue.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, I guess I'm not going to press it too much farther. I will say that like this is the kind of thing that it's kind of hard to
Substantiate.
substantiate, right? Because like, so for instance, I can just tell you from my personal experience that, since I literally look at Luna's comments every single day on her YouTube channel, I kind of get an idea. Like, she does get racist comments every day, and that that's probably true. Just because any person of color, black person on the internet that's putting themselves out there and talking about politics is going to see that kind of thing. So she does get those kinds of comments every day. But every time
I call this bullshit. As a black person that's had immensely controversial fucking racial takes, getting it every day is not a meme. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm somebody that gets a fair amount of viewers. I don't get messages every day in general. I just don't get messaged every day. Every day, I do not have a message. That is just the case. Okay. Oh, I'm dead.
time you've done a video where you talked about her, suddenly there's like a big uptick in the number of those kinds of racists and just terrible kinds of disturbing comments. And the only other time I've ever seen that happen, it's only happened twice before, and once was after we had a discussion with Destiny,
a girl.
and once was after
are you a
the
girl?
armchair historian and her
That
had a
is
little bit of
fair.
back and forth.
Women are probably
And it's
going to
never
get
ever happened. Again, lots of
disproportionate
other
amounts of
people have
messages. That is fair. Sorry, I'm
criticized
not.
Luna, but those are the only three examples. And so something.
The point wasn't to say that Luna isn't getting a message every day. While I do believe it to be unlikely, the point was to bring up that, like, just because you're black doesn't mean you're getting racist messages every single day in your DM. Unless you're talking about in chat, then, like, maybe. Mush, thank you for the tier 1. I appreciate it.
Tells me it's just here. I guess I'll leave it this way. My instinct is there's something going on.
You're also not a commie. I hate to break it to you. It's a lot less sexy to be a sockdem than it is a commie online.
You can also
Like, I don't know what you... Online, my social credit points go up to 1 trillion if I'm a communist. There's not very many people that are like, ooh, yeah, dude, that's so hot. You're a sockdem? Yeah, no, it's the people to the left of me call me a fascist, and the people to the right of me call me a socialist. Like, I get both ends of the shit stick, dude. So, yeah. I can't win with, like, any major online group. You go on Twitter, you're a commie, you're revered as one of the God's chosen children. You go in saying you're a sopdem, it's like, oh, you're a capitalist bootlicking piece of shit. You probably like Elon Musk tweets. Ooh. It's like, okay. Whatever.
There, and if you think that matters, I would encourage you to take it seriously and investigate it more on your own and see if you can find out more and just keep that in the back of your mind, I guess, as you move forward when you talk about people who are vulnerable. Now, Luna and I are in our 30s, and we have each other, and we're stable.
30s?
And the reason I'm not trying to preach at you, but I know that you're aware that there are people out there who are more vulnerable. There are people who are younger. There are people who have mental instability and might be inclined towards self-harm and that sort of thing. So I guess I'm just saying, from one big content creator to the other, it's something that I do is try to be careful about how I cultivate my audience. I try to identify the strengths and strengthen those, and I try to identify weaknesses and negate those as much as possible over time. So I'm not trying to preach at you, but that's something I wanted to make you aware of that's something that I've seen happening personally with Luna's audience. So
I saw that tweet from Luna where she screenshotted some groypers quote tweeting her and said that they were sort of insinuated that was a product of her mentioning or talking with me. I mean, I'm a large content creator. There are people who hate watch me. I also have... oh, wait, hold on. I'm getting some feedback from your end when I talk. Do you know what that might be?
Did it just start?
No, it's been happening. It's like a sort of static and like a gain pitch.
By the way, chat, this is going to be a test run, okay? If you're okay with me playing video games like this on stream... Right? If you're like, whatever, he's got a video game, he's still reacting to shit and stuff like that. I want you to show your support for Total War Warhammer 3 goal, all right? You donate money, dono exclusively, not bits, dono exclusively money, and it will contribute towards the goal of playing Total War Warhammer 3 on stream. Or you could donate bits. And then if we get to the equivalent of $600 in bits, I will not play Total War Warhammer 3 on stream. All right? So bits if nay, dollars if yay. Okay? There you go. All right? That's how it works. And if it doesn't reach either goal, so the idea is if it gets to $600, the polls close, and I will do whatever it is. So if somebody donates enough to get to the cap it out on bits right now, then too bad, I'm not playing the game on stream. And if somebody caps it out on the dollars right now, then I'm gonna play it on stream, and there's no donation that will change that. From that point forward. But until it gets capped out, if the days to go reaches 0, which is roughly 9 days from now, then I will just go with whichever amount is higher. Dollar amount is higher. And then whichever one is higher will be the determination. So if you're like, hey, it's not that big of a deal, he's playing video game while doing his normal content, then give to the goal. If you don't like it, if you think it's disruptive or annoying, you don't like the sounds and stuff like that, then maybe say fuck it to Total War Warhammer 3. It's up to you.
Did that fix it at all?
Let me see. Talking. Yeah, okay, wait, I think that did. Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Do you think it's going to flop?
I
think it's the weakest
people are saying
one
my
so
voice
far.
Too loud in your stream. I don't know if that.
I think it's the weakest one so far.
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
The factions are
obviously, as a product of my size, beefing with me is going to cause a lot of engagement, and there might be negative consequences to that for like marginalized people, because I'm broadly known on the right. I don't know if there's a way to directly attribute that to me. I know they're not my audience. I don't think I have a substantial Groiper audience in my beck and call. I just don't know if there's anything I can really do about that. Because at that point, it's not even about my community. It's just about the size of my channel and exposure given to people that I disagree with. And we're working off tenuous connections as well. I mean, it could very well be that even if I was perfectly responsible with all my engagement, merely the act of being signal boosted to the level that one is when they engage with me would then increase the likelihood of that kind of negative attention. It feels like the link here is tenuous enough that I don't have a direct control over it, or really even indirect control. The only solution would be, I think,
my boy's been playing too much Darkest Dungeon,
positively or negatively, any other figures who are marginalized, which probably wouldn't be good. That doesn't seem like a sustainable solution, I think.
Well, okay, there are a few things there. I guess I'll push back a little bit against. The first thing would
I
be,
do not expect you to melt your brain by consuming this shit without distraction. Background
every time
gamer
I
is
talk
also
about
more
somebody who I disagree with who could be
also
receiving
gaming
that kind of
background, so the tempo
hate,
is similar.
like,
reported.
I'm very careful to tell my audience, like, do not harass this person, blah, blah, blah. That,
Oh, Posh Peasy, you should have said that. You should have began the statement with too poor to donate. Then I wouldn't have read your fucking statement, you loser. Why didn't you start with that, silly Billy?
that will help with your actual audience or community, the people you actually like enjoy. But then also, I don't know, I think you could be more selective about some of the things that you say about certain people, because there have been instances, like for instance, when you talked about Luna, I don't think that calling her a useless stepchild of Vietnam, I think that might fan the flames of like racial problems. I'm not saying that you were intentionally being racist. That's not the point there. But I think that having that kind of super vitriolic statement could perhaps fan the flames. I think maybe when talking about people in marginalized positions, you could perhaps just stick to the facts and to the ideas more, instead of bringing up the personal vitriolic remarks like that, calling them stupid, using ableist slurs and that sort of thing. I think that might be one way you could kind of control some of that. Do you like completely disown and denounce the people who have made racial comments about Luna since you made your stream about her?
Oh, anyone who makes racist comments.
You know what? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. You know what? He thinks they're based, all right? He thinks they're so based. What is this? What do you think he's gonna say? Why would you even ask such a stupid fucking question? I hate it when people, do you denounce all the racists? No, I don't. You know what? No, I don't. I actually don't. I don't. Now what? Like, I don't. Like, the
towards Luna is either not a part of my community, or if they are, should be removed from it. I'm not a racist, and I don't tolerate racism on any of my platforms. If it really is like hate followers who are watching or simply responding to an increase in visibility, though, nothing I say will change anything. I mean, I could have a positive interaction. In fact, I know this because I have had positive engagements with people, marginalized people, either race, gender, sexuality, who then got harassment after talking with me, not just from the rest of the left for deigning to talk with me, of course, but just as a product of being made visible, you know? So if that is the group responsible predominantly for the real vitriol, I don't think there's anything I could do other than be silent. In terms of like harassment from my community, like the tone that I set, I'm okay with it. I'm generally quite mean to conservatives or people that I don't like. I think that's okay. I think that the vitriol is sort of an essential component.
You don't think that when you said that Luna's a useless stepchild of Vietnam, that could, even if you didn't intend for it to have racial undertones, right? Because intention here doesn't matter. I think you agree with me. It's the outcomes that matter. You don't think that that's the kind of thing that can stoke racially charged responses from people or
sure,
encourage
you can get that from criticizing China too, right? Like I hate China, but if you talk about that long enough, folks who are actually racist are going to catch on.
You
There's
can
only
talk
so
about
much
how
you
you
can do
hate
about
China
that.
without
Sir,
calling
agree,
somebody
maybe.
a useless stepchild of China, for instance. You know, I mean, like,
If
that's
they were a
weird
Chinese
What does that
nationalist,
mean, a useless stepchild of Vietnam? I don't really understand what you're trying to say there.
oh, I don't know. I threw out probably like 100 or 200 insults. I don't even remember the one you're saying right now. I'm sure in context it was
I
very
remember
funny.
what you said tells me you weren't being too careful when you talked.
That's some Chad shit. I'm not
I can't
gonna
remember
lie
every.
to you.
I can't
That
remember
is
every
some
insult I deliver over a
Sigma
whole
shit.
stream. I mean, that's hours every day. I'd have
That's
to log in and
some
have them
Sigma
No, I
fucking
think you
shit.
be careful. I think you could be more careful about how you talk about
Well,
other people. But okay.
what you've said
I
there.
think this is going nowhere. So
Well, I just
do you
want to
have
say
anything else
what
about
you've said there. That doesn't cross my threshold for irresponsible treatment. I mean, obviously, and I'm not. This isn't an effort to poison the well. Obviously, you have a closer relationship with Luna than I do. That's kind of an
I
understatement.
do recognize that she's a person. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
part of being, you know.
Right. Well, we're going to have different perspectives on an acceptable level of vitriol towards people that you don't like. I guess the thing that always weirds me out a little bit is I'm very mean to conservatives on my channel. Nobody seems to mind that much. But then when there are people on the left who have ideas that I think are just as pernicious, you know, all of a sudden, people, you know, they get very up in arms about it. I don't understand the double standard personally. I think that
I
it's.
can't speak to that because I don't have enough insight into or optics into that. So.
What do you think it's okay if I was? I'm just asking because I just want to know if it's a broad opposition or if there's kind of like a specific favoritism here. If I was doing a video on like I don't know Ben Shapiro and I was just throwing them out there, you know, all the insults, nothing anti-Semitic or whatever, but you know, just insults. Do you think there's an issue with that vitriol, or do you think that's a fine thing
if
to
it's
do?
motivated by things like race and or being trans or whatever, then of course there's a problem. Even if, like, for instance, like, you know, like if there's if you're debating a conservative who was gay, and then you made some kind of comment that could be construed as referencing their.
What is this?
Someone needs to do jamming, but with coping. We coping. I wanna coping with you. We coping. I wanna coping with you. We on a panel coping. We on a coping with you. We on a panel.
How much like post effects did somebody do for this?
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, maybe 5 people deep.
KMT says, nice copium dim you have there. Let me have some. I don't know what is your
Wait, what? I actually want to know what he's reacting to now.
talking about the conversation I just had. How is that copium?
So is that like a
It's
reference?
just like this is the, so this is the way that it works. It's always
Sorry,
like it's always like the most vague.
Oh, this was the stream after the Vaush debate. A post-debate panel. So it's the support group. Listen, I have no issue with people taking their mental health seriously and wanting to be around friends after, you know, getting their ass blown out on camera. Unironically, I have no issue with it. Like, it sounds like I do, and I'm making fun of it, but I have no issue with it. But damn. I don't know why you'd want to do that in public. Why would you do that in public? Like, why would you let cameras see you? Oh no. That's weird. That's weird to me, homie. Okay.
Sexuality. I'm not saying you did that. I'm speaking hypothetically. And then that person got harassed for being gay. Even if they're conservative, I certainly wouldn't say that that's acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And I think that I'm saying you. I'm just saying the hypothetical you. A person who did that would have to take responsibility for the role that they played in that. And I think that when you're putting out insults, you need to be thinking about the potential ripple effects that the words you use can have when you're talking to thousands of people.
Well, I think the ripple effect is, I suppose I dislike her, and I'm okay with people in my audience disliking her, but if the racial comments, like the racism, is really coming from like the Groyper hate followers, I just don't think there's a relationship between the language that I use, you know, this language at least, which is, I don't think racialized, and the outcomes. Hold on, somebody linked the stepchild thing. I just want to hear, it's 6 seconds, 1 second. Yeah, the modern Vietnamese government has produced little fucking off stepchild bastard children like Luna Oi here. Yeah, the modern Vietnamese government has produced, oh yeah, it's a comment on, Vietnamese, education producing like nationalist defenders. Yeah. So that would be like the stepchild comment.
What is the stepchild connection there?
Well, like
you know that someone who's older than you. I mean, I don't understand why you keep calling her a child, and it seems kind of like overly demeaning. I don't know what basis you have for that.
I'm okay with being demeaning. With the stepchild thing, when I think of like,
is the implication of sexism? Is this the implication?
Bunch of like sort of children running around, you know, it's like 20 of them, and you can remember the names of 16 or so. You know, I think it's a salient critique of the way governments will sort of indoctrinate.
He did the meme.
John has made that point. You know, knowing what you know and knowing and being conscious of the way that certain people that watch your show could you just not have made that point with a little bit less personal vitriol? I guess I just don't understand the. I don't
But I'm okay
I
with the
talk to people all the time that I don't like, but I don't make weird comments about them like that.
I'm
They
okay
could
with
be
the
construed.
vitriol. Also, to be fair, I'm pretty sure Luna's been quite vitriolic to me for a while. Not to
Luna
say
doesn't
it's
talk
not.
about you for months on end until you decide to do another stream about her. That's something I can tell you for sure.
Oh, sure. Not to say it's not
She doesn't
mutual.
go around talking about you all the time. It's always in self-defense. I mean, I have to say that I've been
Wait.
very keen on that.
I think there was at least one time she started something, but it doesn't matter. I'm not. This isn't like a who started it type thing. I'm just saying that I think the vitriol certainly is mutual. I don't see an issue with being vitriolic. It's fine. If anything, I'm working on maybe trying to be a little more vitriolic. I feel like the left online gives way too much of a pass to certain types of ideas. Some types of nationalism.
Why do you think that is beneficial? I mean, what do you think what end does that serve? I don't get it. I don't understand how calling somebody a useless stepchild of Vietnam serves any purpose.
Well, it was part of a broader bit on the nationalism thing, but anti-nationalism is a strong component of
Like if you said Luna's a rabid nationalist or something, then like that would have a connection to what you're saying. I don't understand. I don't see this. I don't feel like this conversation's going anywhere. I don't think that you're.
This is bullshit high horsing. I was waiting to say this is bullshit high horsing. He made a pretty hyperbolic statement that I'll agree doesn't really have a direct correlation to whatever the fuck they were talking about. It's like not as interconnected as you'd want it to be, not as fucking fleshed out as you. The fuck, who cares, man? Like he threw a jab out, all right? She took it on the jaw, you go about your fucking day. Took that shit on the chin. Happens, all right? Next time posture up.
I don't think you're.
Put your guard up.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that I was too mean. I just don't mind being mean.
It's
I'm
not
fine
about me.
with it.
I'm using the personal situation of Luna because I'm familiar with that. But there have been a number of people have come forward and said that after you talked about them on stream, they got a lot of hate. And I'm just saying that if that were me and that were my audience and that were my platform,
What would you do?
somebody was saying that, I would take it very seriously and I would work very hard to do everything I could
I
to.
have.
Bull fucking shit. Okay? Bull fucking shit. I imagine we take out our fucking time machine. We go back to. Sheesh. That is a hole. We take our fucking time machine and then we go take a look at some of the fucking comments that was being made towards Destiny after their fucking debate. How much you want to bet he was defending Destiny from some of that fucking shit, dude? Nice fucking try, okay? Listen, very simple stuff, all right? This is textbook first grade shit, all right? There are certain things that you need to be okay with when you're doing online debate. And a little bit of jabs, you got to be okay with that, all right? You got to be okay with taking a couple on the chin. It's just the way it is. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep. Trust me. It's not that deep. So I don't think, nice. I don't think Vaush's conduct was exceedingly cringe. I see nothing, I see nothing that was too cringe about that. Yeah, I know. This is a reach for sure.
Decrease as much as possible. No, you're saying that you want to go forward and be more vitriolic towards.
Well, the thing is,
we're
I
talking
think
about people of color, transphobic people, trans people, gay people, whatever. You're saying you want to be more vitriolic to people who you disagree with, who are marginalized.
Okay, dude. We're talking about trans people. We're talking about gay people. You want to be more vitriolic? Yeah, okay, because that's what he said, right? He said, yeah, you know what? I want to kick the teeth in of some trans people. That's what he said. Yeah, 100% bet on that one. Can take that one to Twitter, please. Take that one to Twitter, please. Jesus fucking losers, man. Just fucking contend with the thing that he's saying. Also, I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to realistically get around. Oh, never mind, I did it.
Vitriolic.
the main thing is that I do take it seriously, and having taken it seriously, I've only found evidence to take it less seriously. Because this has happened before, this basic pattern, and I always have it investigated. I have mods, I have a team,
It's a pattern of behavior.
I have a crack team, and this always gets looked into. I can never find evidence of real harassment. Either it's just people being mean to them, which again, I'm totally okay with, and I don't
What
think
do you
that's...
consider? I mean, like I don't know. What you don't think that if somebody's if a bunch of people are coming forward and it seems like a pattern behavior because you said it's a pattern behavior and you're having to investigate it all the time. I mean, I don't have this problem. I don't have to go out launching investigations with like a crack mod NSA team to go do like investigations.
I'm sorry, homie. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen Noncompete's numbers. I legitimately haven't seen Noncompete's numbers. So maybe it could be the case that this is not happening with Nonecompete, but isn't Nonecompete like 1/10 of the size of Vaush? Like, yeah, like, for instance, I haven't had anybody say, like, Ahrelevant, your community just going out here and harassing me, unless they're inside of my chat and they're getting omega load the fuck out, right? And because they're backing out of a Discord or ban, right? Nobody's ever told me they've faced harassment from my community, dude, and I have 700 people in here. Generally speaking, I have, like, 500 people watching me. Like, I have a fair number of people, and this doesn't happen. But if I had a lot more and my community had like their fucking Reddit and shit like that they interact with consistently, yeah, I probably would. I probably would get messages like, AGG is fucking at it again or whatever. And I'd have Ahrelevant derangement syndrome or whatever. I probably wouldn't have some shit like that. Let's be honest.
Because I'm not constantly hearing from people that when I talk about them on stream that they're getting a bunch of harassment over race and gender and sexuality and that kind of thing. But that's what I'm hearing people say about your audience. So what's the? I don't know the
It's a good
difference
thing
between
I
my.
investigated. Wait, hold on.
platform-
Somebody just linked a tweet where Luna is essentially calling me a pedophile. I think I'm okay with the meme. I usually try to proportion it to my dislike for people. I feel like
I know.
Luna,
Do you want to read the tweet and tell me exactly what it says?
Vaush gets kicked off of platforms for saying cracker, but not for saying pedophilia can be good for children. Sick fucking world.
Which is an exact quote that you said.
No, it's not.
That is so dishonest. Oh no, that's so dishonest. Oh, they played the clip too. They're gonna play the clip.
The video that it's linked to. Tell me that it's not
The
a
video
direct
cuts
quote.
me off mid-sentence. It literally.
Yeah, I
cuts
was
me off
gonna
mid-sentence.
say.
You did say that though. She referenced something you actually said.
Oh no! Oh god, we're doing the bit. Now I understand why Vaush at the end of it put the clip of them saying, "Yeah, the Nazis were right." I understand why he put that here, because if Luna is morally okay for saying that Vaush thinks pedophilia can be good for children and cuts that clip off mid-sentence, f*** that, dude. Yeah, hell yeah, you better believe I'm clip chimping that person. Are you joking? Yeah, I'm clip chimping that person. The f***. Yes, they just clip chimped me. F*** yeah, I am.
Hold on.
You could defend yourself and say that that was taken out of context or whatever, but she didn't call you a pedophile, and she was referencing something you actually said, which is a different situation than being vitriolic towards people for absolutely no
So
reason.
do you think that
whatsoever.
signal boosting misinformation with the intent of sort of painting a person as a pedophile isn't like, it's interesting that you would take issue with saying a person's a stepchild of the country that they're from, but the idea of like signal boosting disingenuous far right pedo jacketing that was literally cut off mid-sentence isn't itself bad
Oh,
faith
a
or
cat.
disingenuous. Like, that's really
A
weird.
cat
to me.
is in
I
the
don't
room.
understand. Is it like a perceived vulnerability thing because my community
Well,
is
there is a power differential for one thing. That is true, but also that's not the only thing. The other thing is, she wasn't just talking about you. She was talking about the way platforms work. I think that you would agree that getting kicked off for saying cracker was ridiculous, right? Do you agree with that?
I would
So
agree
it's like,
that calling me a
going on there.
pedophile is
Come on.
being vitriolic.
Come on. What is happening right now? Dude, your wife took a fat fucking L here, dude. Say it with your chest, man. This looks so fucking weaselly. He's like, well, my wife, when she clip chimped you with the implication that you were a pedophile, was really doing it to make a point about how using the C word for white people was not that big of a deal. What? Bro, are you, is this real life?
I don't
She
think there's
didn't
any
call you a
working
pedophile.
around
She didn't
that.
call you a pedophile. She didn't call you a pedophile.
Oh my god.
Non-compete. Come on.
She did it. She said that what she said that she thinks that what you said in that clip is worse than saying cracker.
I mean, if you cut together a bunch of words spliced from different streams and arranged them in a way to implicate me, and then looked at that and said, huh, look at that, that's interesting, that wouldn't technically be calling me.
I don't know what to say. I can just tell you that there's a difference between quoting what somebody actually said in a specific context when you're commenting on a platform versus calling
It's not
somebody
actually
a
quoting me,
useless stepchild of Vietnam,
It's not quoting
which is
me.
really just an insult based on the fact that she's Vietnamese. That's the only tangible piece of evidence about her identity that you addressed, or even you didn't address her positions. You addressed like you didn't call her a nationalist. You called her a stepchild of Vietnam.
In a section where I was talking. Hold on. This would be a lot easier for you if you didn't form your opinion.
Okay, I understand what non-compete is getting at. I have a much, much higher tolerance for being hyperbolic than I do quote mining or clip chimping. I have a much higher tolerance for that. If you want to say, like, for instance, Ahrelevant is just a Vaush Hassan hate watcher. All he does is ever watch Vaush, and he just constantly disagrees with him as his like point of pride or whatever. Like whatever, you know, I don't give a f- what you say, some shit like that. But if you try and like quote mine me or shit like that and try and make it look like I said something I didn't, I have a much lower tolerance for that, because you're attempting to bring evidence into making a claim that you have no support to be able to make. You have no support to be able to make that claim whatsoever, but whatever.
based exclusively off of
Not
Twitter
false.
clips. In the whole video,
I
or
have
you
an
can
opinion
as soon
about
as
whether or
I
not
say
I'm a
it.
pedophile.
the section.
I
No,
don't.
I'm talking about the stepchild thing. I have an opinion on whether or not I'm a pedophile, and it's that the people who go out of their way to call me one because they can't address my real arguments are bottom feeding. And I really like the idea that
Okay,
you would
but she
complain.
did
Wait,
address your
hold
real
on, hold on.
arguments.
The
Okay.
idea that
All
people would complain about vitriol. I mean, not even about like the arguments used, right? But like in terms of vitriol. And what? Because I made a joke about her being a nationalist. Like, is stepchild like a slur now? This concern totally me. I don't get it.
Vietnam did mention her nationality, which is
Who cares?
I don't have her
Yeah.
ethnicity.
I think she's a Vietnamese nationalist. Yes, stepchild of Vietnamese propagandizing education. Sure, yeah, it's fine. I don't even think that's particularly vitriolic. I'm pretty sure I said worse stuff.
All right, we're really just going around in circles now. So I don't know. I have nothing else to say about this. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I suppose not.
Okay. Do you want to talk about anything? I have a few other questions. I
Yeah,
can ask.
well, yeah, there were three
I
topics.
liked non-compete's
you mentioned.
recognition of when they just hit a wall. I thought that was good.
Well, you said the first one was on targeting marginalized people.
A
The second one
steadfast
was
support.
a
Nice
perceived
one,
lack
buddy.
of understanding of Luna's video and of dialectical materialism. And then the third one was the dishonest rhetorical tricks I use in my discussions. And I'm happy to talk about either or both. if you'd like.
Educational, John. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I think that in your video, so specifically just focusing on the stream you had about Luna. Now, because you said that people that don't address your opinions, your actual positions. I feel like you spent 2 hours. You call people who don't address your actual positions bottom feeding. You spent
And call
2
me
hours.
pedophiles. That's the part that
Okay,
bothers
well,
me the most.
categorically, Luna did not call you a pedophile. She quoted something that you said,
Wasn't
and
a quote.
I do happen to agree. I don't think there's any situation where an adult can have a sexual relationship with a child, and it has a positive outcome. So
If you had actually
do
seen
disagree.
the full bit that was clipped from, then
I saw
you
the
would
full
agree. You saw the full bit, not just the Twitter bit, but the full thing in which I was
your
constructing a
logical
rule
foundation
utility.
was that there can be some situations where an adult and a child can have positive outcomes. You didn't say. Anyway, it's totally
so
immaterial. for the
just
book.
well, no, it's important. So in a consequentialist sense, you can easily construct a situation where essentially anything is fine. Here, I'll ask you. Just follow through with me 30 seconds.
No,
then
I
we're
don't.
done.
I'm not an idealist. I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals that don't have any bearing on material reality.
That is wait, hold on. Wait, hold on.
I'm not
Wait,
gonna
hold
do
on.
that. I'm
Wait.
not gonna
Mark,
talk
first of all,
hypotheticals with you, Josh.
we're
I'm
not
talking
talking.
about hypothetical situations
Wait,
where adults can molest children and it has a positive outcome.
you're the one talking. Wait, hold on. First of all, Marx was a philosopher.
why
It's
you
not
wanna talk about
idealism.
this?
Wait,
You
no,
wanna
hold
talk
on.
about
Wait, you can't move away from this. Okay, hold on. I'm not letting you paint me like this and then run the fuck away.
I can't move
Wait,
away
hold on.
from the
Wait,
discussion.
you have to stop talking
Absolutely.
for 1 second. Okay, hold on. So imagine, all right? Imagine aliens come down to Earth
Oh, God.
and they say
this is absolutely ridiculous, Vaush.
you've lasted 6 seconds so far.
Imagine
Okay.
aliens. This is as hypothetical idealism as you can get.
You're like-
you're literally just like
You're like a honeymoon virgin. You gotta last longer than 6 seconds. Just give me a second, okay? Did I not let you talk for a long time when you were establishing your premises? Come on.
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals. With
You don't have
It's
to.
not
You
something
don't.
we
Then
can
you don't
talk
have to
about. I
talk. You
said I'm gonna
just
talk
have to
about
listen.
things with you.
You just have to listen. Okay. Now you can imagine a situation in which aliens come down to Earth and they say, "We're going to blow up the whole planet unless you kill this innocent kid." Now, in a consequentialist sense, that innocent kid. Right, I know, right? So follow through. So in a
This is
consequentialist,
everything-
in a consequentialist,
you
I know,
literally
inability to
don't
grasp
even need
philosophy is one of my
aliens
biggest
for
issues with
that.
Luna. It makes sense
It's
that we're going to
idealism.
That's
It's
not what I.
idealism.
This philosophy and idealism aren't the same thing. Those don't mean the same thing. You can
No,
Wikipedia them.
you're basing you're constructing hypothetical situations that have no bearing. in reality
Hypotheticals aren't.
whatsoever.
Wait, do you think an idealism is when you construct a hypothetical? Do you think those mean the same thing? You're going to lecture me on dialectical
There's
materialism.
no
and you're
point in
struggling on
having
this.
this discussion. Is my point.
Can you answer that question? Do you think idealism means when you construct a hypothetical? Have you read
If you
Capital?
construct a
It's full of
hypothetical that
hypotheticals.
has nothing to do with reality, and you think that gets you closer to the truth, that is idealism because you are making the ideal conscious processes of thought your basis for truth.
Idealism is
And
not
I'm
when you.
a materialist, and my basis
I
for
see.
finding truth.
I see the issue.
material
You
world
think
and-
idealism is when you think. which is why you
Experience
don't. Listen,
gain.
if you read Das Kapital, okay,
No.
you'll actually find
Uh-oh.
hypotheticals. They're actually kind of ubiquitous. Look. Anyway, in that,
Grounded in reality, though, they're grounded in actual things that happen.
so just let's
So
finish the point. We can
hypothesis
move
is
on if you let me talk for 10 seconds, okay? So in that situation, you could argue consequentially that the outcomes would be good to murder that innocent child because the Earth doesn't get blown up. Then, because the Twitter bit cuts me off literally mid-sentence,
we are
you follow
winning
on from
right
that point
now.
to talk about how a rule utilitarian could have a categorical opposition to the murder of children in spite of that. The whole argument was one against the predation of children, but far-right people like to clip me out of context because it's easier than debunking me. That's it.
Now
That was
they're
it.
just fighting philosophy. Yeah, that shit was pretty cringe. I'm not gonna lie to you. That shit was like, bro, you're live. Why are you doing this? Like, take this shit offline. You know, like, you are live right now. You push the go live button and you're deciding to do this. Why? It's definitely a bit strange, a bit odd, but we get through it and we'll get through it.
That is idealism, though.
That's not what idealism means.
It is when you think that you can find any truth that brings you like if you use a hypothetical that's grounded in reality, then that's
Not. This isn't what idealism means. This isn't. It's not. You don't know what that term means.
well. What do you think idealism means?
So do you mean idealism like in relationship to materialism in the dialectical sense, like dialectical idealism versus dialectical materialism? Because the Hegelian concept has nothing to do with the construction of hypotheticals.
No, it doesn't.
You
but
lost
it does,
him.
But no, it does. It does. So yes, it does because idealism is the position that the basis for finding
I'm gonna
truth.
be
and this
straight
actually
with
does
you,
lead
I don't
towards
know,
what
I
wanted
don't
to talk to you
care.
about. So I'm fine with talking about this now because I do think you misunderstand the difference between materialism and idealism, and I think you don't understand the relationship between Hegel and Marx and Engels, and I don't think that you understand the difference between historical materialism and dialectical materialism. So these are all things I want to ask you about. So, Hegel's whole
Don't care, didn't ask, plus you're both Caucasian.
and the problem that Marx and Engels had with Hegel was
Plus
that he
ratio.
sought truth on the basis of the ideal and consciousness. Okay, Marx and Engels broke with that, and they thought that the material world in objective sense data, empirical sense data, is the primary basis for truth. But they were not empiricists. They were not positivists, meaning they didn't think you could only find truth in sense data, in empirical data. Okay, do you agree with all of those things I just said, or do you know those things?
No, I don't think that's correct. I think that's simplified in some respects and incorrect in others.
All right. Well, just tell me what you think idealism is, Vaush.
The dialectical disagree. So first of all, idealism is a philosophical tradition dating back millennia. What you refer to as ideal, like I don't know, there are like 20 different kinds of idealism depending on where you're pulling from. The juxtaposition usually posed against what Marx wrote was Hegelian dialectical idealism, which was the idea that social advancements, that ideas that human civilization was moved forward as a product of the antagonisms which arise in people's thoughts, as they have competing values and virtues which fight against each other, and you achieve synthesis, which is ideally an advancement of the idea, right, of the concept.
Okay, yes.
And Marx
Can
is.
I stop you for one moment?
Sure.
Can I stop you for one moment? Okay. So an example of that, I think, and one of the big problems we have on the left today, and a problem that I've seen you have in your discussions, is that we have these hypothetical discussions about what we should do or shouldn't do, or after the revolution, will this happen or will this exist, and blah, blah, blah. And we construct hypothetical scenarios about the future, and then we think that that's what we should base all of our praxis and activism on. So in other words, we come up with the ideas first, which Engels described as utopianism, Marx and Engels described as utopianism, and then we think like, okay, we've got this perfect vision for where we want to be, now we have to get from here to there, and we have to dogmatically stay that course. That would be, would you agree that that's an idealist basis for for a political movement?
I think it's utopian, but I don't think it's a dialectically idealist concept. I think you could frame that belief system through dialectical materialism just fine.
You could frame that system through dialectical materialism. Frame a utopian system, or what do you mean? I don't understand what you mean.
Dialectical materialism is only a mode of analysis. It's a theory to explain the movement, the evolution of human behavior. Society, social development.
You
can apply it to anything. You can analyze any system, any society through the lens of dialectical materialism. It doesn't have to be. There isn't like a dialectically materialist way of doing a thing. You know, outside the process of analysis, you can't like make a civilization and go like this time we'll do it dialectically materially.
The point is that you're putting the cart before the horse if you say this would be a perfect society, and you know, a priori, you will find out through practice what works and what doesn't. That was a big important thing that Marx and Engels pointed out, was that you can only find truth through practice and praxis.
I'm not a utopian. I agree that it is dumb to conceptualize an ideal society and then
so when you conceptualize things with aliens and things that don't happen on planet Earth, that's a useless rhetorical strategy.
Oh my God, this is what you were running back to? No, okay.
Yes.
So, no. Let me
It's a very simple idea. It exercises our understanding of our moral positions. Now, to say, I agree, however, that in a scenario in which it is impossible for something to happen, the hypothetical then can often become worthless, depending on whether or not the point of contention is worth entertaining. So, like, a good example of this is, let's assume it's impossible for werewolves to exist, even though theoretically we could come up with some idea where in the future we could genetically mix wolves and humans and make a werewolf, right? Let's assume that werewolves, you know, like Van Helsing type or whatever the werewolves are, like, impossible for them to exist. Alright? I can create a hypothetical about werewolves that could engage our moral ideas when it comes to, like, I don't know, the transformation of people. That could be relevant to, like, transhumanism, right? Like, well, when you transform into the werewolf, is it morally okay to kill you? Because you would be presumably taking on a different form that would be unlike what you currently are. And then the argument then would be, like, you should probably just use, like, a transhuman example instead of just the werewolf example. But the werewolf example, if you're arguing in good faith, would still just work properly, because it's pretty perfectly analogous to a transhuman example, in which you could transform as well. And then you engage with the idea. But, like, in cases where it's not analogous and it's impossible to happen in material reality, or that the material reality becomes too segregated from the way people materially live, you can just legitimately say, well, yeah, it's just too different. I can't imagine that kind of a reality. It's, I don't know, whatever. Like, that's it, though. They're making it way deeper than it has to be.
Please listen, this can be instructive, okay? There is a massive difference between framing your pragmatic
morally
advocacy
okay
for a
to
political
ride
system
in
based on a
Transformers?
utopian vision of a future
I don't know.
have
Wouldn't you
material
like
conditions to
die
account
when
for,
they
and the
transform?
construction of a hypothetical to illustrate the dynamics of a moral system. If you read Capital, I promise you,
Okay, moral
you will
system.
find
Boom. That's a
hypotheticals that are very
metaphysical concept.
outlandish.
Hold on. Your whole thing, you believe that you can construct a moral system where you can, before
I didn't construct it. It's just rule utilitarianism.
Wait, I just realized. If you leave, like, coffee or donuts on the dash when you're driving around in a Transformer and then it transforms, does it just have, like, a chocolate donut inside of it while it's, like, fighting and shit somewhere? Is it just, like, a chocolate donut hanging out inside of it? What if I'm like... What if I put my laptop in there? Would it just get smushed or something? What a stoner question.
You can't. The material conditions determine what is morally acceptable and what's not. When the French resistance were blowing up Nazis, that was okay because of the material conditions they were in. Right? Do you agree with that? But it's not always okay to just go blow people up.
No,
like, there
those
are certain
are
material conditions where it's acceptable and some where it's not.
Those have nothing to do with each other. No, I'm not a moral relativist. Wait, do you think slavery was moral because back then people thought it was moral?
That's not what moral relativism means. Oh no. It doesn't mean that because people thought it was good at the time, that means it was good.
Exactly the opposite of what I'm saying.
The material
I'm saying
conditions of
justified
16th
for
century
slaves.
agriculture demanded the existence of slavery. Do you think that's moral then? Like, what?
That's my point. Is that it has? I believe my morality stems from dialectical. Like, so let me put it this way.
Dialectical materialism isn't a moral
I was
system.
going to
It's
say
just
it's
an
not a moral
analysis of history.
position.
Those aren't.
Okay.
These are
Why
the
do you
people who
think-
criticize my
No, no,
philosophy,
no, no.
man.
Here's where you're wrong, because you are conflating empiricism and positivism and determinism with dialectical materialism.
No, that's
But
what
one
Luna
of the
was
important
doing.
things that Marx and Engels pointed out, Vaush, is that through conscious activity, we can impact the material world and we can make changes. And so, for instance, people can liberate themselves by developing mass movements, but they have to develop them with an understanding of the material processes of reality. If you try to develop, so for instance, of course, all poor people don't want to be poor anymore, right? But like, if you have false consciousness and you don't have a firm grasp on how material processes work and how the world actually develops and how things can develop and how applying your consciousness to material conditions will develop reality. If you don't have that, then you will fail and fail and fail again. That's why Engels and Marx.
Oof. Is that why socialism hasn't worked every time? Oof, I think so. I'm sorry, dude. But literally, that sounds textbook like, am I actually just like gonna die here? That sounds to me like why every time it's attempted, it fucking flops. I'm gonna be straight with you. That's exactly what it sounds like. Everybody's like, yeah, we need to like rise up and we need to stop this oppression of the bourgeoisie. Okay, yeah, how do you do it? Well, we'll just like get a dictator. It's like, like, okay, listen, you do you. You do you, homie. You do you. Listen, man.
Wrote Socialism, Utopian, and Scientific because they wanted to stop they were organizers, they were activists, they were actually going out.
I know it's not that simple. Not in all of these places. They just like, oh yeah, I want a dictator. It's not how it goes. I know that. Or somebody's like,
Actually, it's very common for them to seize power rather than...
okay, hold up. Hold up. We in trouble now. We are in trouble now. We are in trouble. Rather than meme on it. Like, listen, I know.
Of groups, they were doing things, and they had.
I think most socialists just don't understand shit about economics.
With people.
There's a difference between opposition to constructing a hypothetical entirely and opposition to the idea of basing one's entire political advocacy off of hypotheticals and nothing else. But that's because pragmatic advocacy for a political system and ethical systems are two different things. Hypotheticals are the only things that you can really use to construct a normative ethical system because you have to isolate. Because first of all,
where are you getting this information from? Or is this something you just came up with, or what is this? What are you talking about?
Okay, if you're constructing an ethical system, like, or I guess.
By the way, title change.
What's a moral system?
A normative process by which you determine whether an action or a person is good or bad. In my case, an action, because I'm not a virtue ethicist.
Okay. And do you think that you can make one moral system that applies in all conditions, or like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the goal would be to construct a normative ethical system that's universally applicable. It is a constant subject of debate in philosophy.
That's idealism.
That is not idealism. That's not what idealism means.
Wait, is this person getting like idealism and idealistic confused? It's like it's definitely like idealistic. Like it's hard to do, if that's what he means. And like, it's the ideal that we would obviously attempt to strive towards. It's the big, you know, the big cheese. It's the big W.
Is because you're saying that you can hypothetically construct. You're saying that like if you sat down and thought hard enough, you had a big enough piece of paper and you wrote down enough if-then Boolean.
I really
logic
didn't
statements, you could
understand what it means. I'm gonna be straight with you. I don't remember. I used to do all the fucking philosophy meme galaxy brain type beat, but then I stopped because nerds like this made me stop. But I remember explicitly it's not the same as being idealistic, and that's it. Idealistic about one specific thing, at least. I don't know. I could look it up and see if it jogs my memory. Idealism is an ideology and a set of beliefs or philosophies attributed to a person or group of persons, especially as held for reasons that are not purely epistemic, in which practical elements are as prominent as theoretical ones. At least is what the... Hold up, let's go with the Stanford one. Idealism is a movement chiefly in the 18th and 19th centuries, although aided by certain aspects of the 17th century. It revises a standard distinction between epistemological idealism, the view that the contents of the human knowledge and ineluctably determined by the nature of human thought, and ontological idealism, the view that epistemic I can't deal with the ickles, the fucking illologies. I can't deal with this. Idealism delivers truth because reality itself is a form of thought, and human thought participates in it. In favor of distinction earlier suggests by A.C. Ewing between epistemological and metaphysical arguments for idealism as itself as a metaphysical position after discussing. Long story short, I don't know what the fuck this is. I'm gonna just be straight with you. I don't remember what the fuck this is. I didn't jog my memory at all. I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna keep it 55th Street.
construct exactly what is morally correct in any given situation in your mind.
Well, the difficulty usually isn't whether something is good or bad. It's whether or not we can assemble all the necessary information to determine whether or not it's good or bad. Like, hypotheticals are the easy isolating factor.
That's what Marx and Engels, that was their big breakthrough. That's what made them, they synthesized empiricism and positivism of people like Hume and Ricardo and Smith and the idealism of Hegel. And they realized that there's actually this dialectical relationship between material reality, material conditions, and human consciousness.
That's not a matter of ethics. If we're talking about ethics, you need hypotheticals because they allow you to isolate conditions that you can use to determine the frameworks of your system. If you're only using practical examples for an ethical consideration, then you're post-hocking everything that happens. You're like, well, was that train crash bad? And you're like, well, I don't have a system for this. And you're like working through it. Dialectical materialism is just like this. Dialectical materialism is a system devised to allow us to analyze the world and to provide us a framework for understanding. That's what an ethical...
Marx and Engels, Socialism, Utopian and Scientific, wrote, the final causes of all social changes and political revolutions are to be sought not in men's brains, but in men's better insights into eternal truth and justice. Not in men's better insights into eternal truth and justice, but in changes in the modes of production and exchange. They very specifically said we can't just sit around and think about what's best. We have to go out and apply things in the material world.
That has nothing to do with...
That doesn't mean we don't use hypotheticals. Okay, listen. At least I'm able to admit that I didn't know what the that shit was when I read it, dude. I swear to God, man. Everybody thinks that they're the smartest person in the fucking room. You just admit it. You don't know what the Marx or Engels fucking wrote. You don't understand any of that shit. Just admit that shit with your chest, dude. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It doesn't mean that you can't use hypotheticals, man. What the fuck do you mean?
Okay, you realize that Marx had a doctorate, right? Like, clearly sitting and thinking is part of the process. I think it's okay to sit down and read out a few hypotheticals to learn an ethical system. Like would you like say this to some kid in kindergarten? Like, you know, action is what we need. Like yes, it's okay to do hypotheticals. It's okay to learn ethical systems. And by the way, rural utilitarianism is really applicable with socialism. It is incredibly naturally, almost intuitively, in line with the moral assertions a person might make to argue in favor of socialism.
Marx and Engels did not just sit around thinking, okay, like in their brains.
We're not talking about just sitting around. Wait, are you against the concept of philosophy?
You have to base your analysis on objective data. And there are two sources of objective data. There's the material world, and then there are objective social relations. That's the way Marx and Engels put it anyway.
Okay, let me test your intuitive system then. Okay, let's hit it then. Is it wrong to hit a person?
It absolutely depends on the material conditions in a situation and the objective social relations at play. There's no universal answer to that question.
Okay, I agree. So one might say that
social relations. Do I need to define that term?
Circumstances matter. Yeah. Okay. So I agree with that. So let's say, okay, let's use an example where all of the cases are known. You said that I was too vitriolic to Luna. Why is that bad?
I said that you need to look at the evidence that is being presented to you and consider whether you think it's bad or not.
And
I'm asking you to apply this kind of analysis to your own platform.
Well, I've done that, but you clearly think it was bad because otherwise you wouldn't take issue with it enough to talk to me about it. You think I've acted in error.
Because I saw evidence, which is that after you talked about her, not just once, but every time you've done a stream about her, I saw a huge uptick in people throwing racist, vitriolic shit at her.
Why is that bad?
She doesn't usually receive on that scale. That's the evidence I presented to you.
Okay, why is that
I was
bad?
convinced by that. Excuse me?
Why is that bad?
Why is that bad? Why is that bad? Because a human being suffered as a direct result of actions that you performed.
Do you think that human suffering is always bad? What about when we shot Nazis?
I don't think that Luna. If you think that Luna deserves to suffer, do you think Luna deserves to suffer? Is that your point here? By being attacked?
Oh, you missed the idpol fucking easy shit there. He's like, are you saying that Luna's a Nazi and deserves to get shot? Oh, I would have expected that fucking shit instantly, dude. That dust to get kicked up into people's eyes, fighting dirty, fucking pocket sand type beat, dude. I wanted to see a fucking showdown. What is it? A Shaolin showdown. Dude, I want to see these two people throw the fuck down, dude. I want to see these two people start boxing, dude. Some Tyson Fury. Was it Tyson Fury? It's not Tyson Fury, is it? I forget what those boxers' name. Is it Tyson and Fury or is it Tyson Fury? I don't remember. I don't watch boxing, all right? I watch real sports like F1.
You're the one who said that it was bad because a person suffered. So logically, I extend from it. You think when suffering happens.
Are you denying that it's bad that Luna suffered because racists sent racist vitriol at her?
I'm asking you your position. Why was it bad?
I would say it's definitely bad because it's promoting the racist system of white supremacism, which oppresses billions of people around the planet.
Why is that bad?
It is bad because we should seek to liberate all of humanity from oppression.
Why?
So the main point of Marx and Engels is to
it's with the Giga Chad. Why?
And historical materialism is to free humanity from all class antagonisms, so that we can finally begin writing history ourselves. That's basically the way that they put it.
Why did they think that was worth doing?
Because throughout modern history, or throughout history since class antagonisms arose, let's put it that way, human beings have been driven forward by oppressive relations with the means of production, and that limits humans and it causes a lot of suffering.
I don't understand these terms. You already said suffering can be good or bad. Limiting? What makes these things bad? I don't understand.
Okay, limiting oppression, giving people the ability to develop their own material conditions and to have the freedom to do what they want. That's what they talked about in.
Why should people have freedom? Should people have freedom to murder?
Yes.
Vaush, freedom to live.
It would be nice to have an ethical system you could apply to answer these questions.
No, only featuring them. Fun facts. Well, it's not that simple, but
this is okay. Let's go back to the material conditions. All right. If you're being oppressed, right? If you're being oppressed, and somebody is forcing you to work for them as a slave or a wage earner or whatever, that is a form of exploitation. Okay.
Isn't that their
freedom?
What is bad?
Excuse me.
Isn't that their freedom? You're talking about restricting the freedom of people to do unto others what they will.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. You're saying that you don't like it when people exercise their freedom.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
You said you value freedom.
You literally, you have to recognize that you have to limit some people's freedoms to maximize other people's freedoms. It's the most basic of basic thing to get yourself out of libertarianism. Like, it is has this guy never met a libertarian in his entire fucking life? It is like libertarian 101. You can't just do this. It's just literally not how it works. Oh, what the why would I ever eat this? Oh, 25% chance to cause battle rage. Oh. I don't know what battle rage is, but that sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, the fact of the matter is that Marx and Engels believed that exploitation through class antagonism is not good. Do you agree or disagree with that?
We're talking about I agree. I think I'm a Marxist, at least in some respects. But I have an ethical system that informs the reasons why I feel Marxism is worth following.
And what is that?
Rule utilitarianism. Or I guess some people say
wait. I think I broke my neck. Didn't he say, like, earlier that he wasn't a rule utilitarian and that shit was stupid? Did I misremember that? I thought I remember during the Hassan House fucking drama and shit, he was saying he doesn't like rural utilitarianism because it was like stupid. Or was that maybe this was during the fascist talk about like fascism that he had where he did that?
Ever eat this me looking at your mama's vagina?
I would never eat this me. What the? Wait, who's playing the video game? Your mama's playing the video game.
That into act utilitarianism. So let's just say utilitarianism. Fine.
But but there's no.
This isn't a matter of idealism. It's a matter of understanding why we fight for what we
common
fight for.
mistake.
What you're arguing
Common
for is
mistake.
intuitive morality, which is exactly what leads to every goddamn pogrom and mass slaughter that's ever happened throughout history. When people post hoc justify what's right or wrong.
Intuitive philosophy? We're just making shit up now. You're just okay. All right.
Construction of and adherence to moral systems that you can understand can prevent that kind of stuff from happening, and it's why I'm hammering on it right now. I don't like it when you're laughing like, oh, hypotheticals, oh, thinking.
Material conditions will dictate what's acceptable or not. If and the only way we have to
Like, why are you against the concept? Do you think you're smarter than like all of like ethics, like the whole philosophy? Like
No,
that's
but my
it's like the most
ethics are
complicated.
So okay, if you are, I don't know how to explain this to you. Like you have to look at history, right? That's one way. That's one way to look at it. So
the
whenever people have been
classic, man. Whenever you have a socialist back against the wall, this is their go-to. You just gotta look at history. Ooh, you love to see it. That's how you know you're hitting them with the haymakers. That's how you know you're getting deep in there. You put one in between the ribs, dude. That's how you know it, dude. I mean, just look at history. It's like, okay, you're down bad, homie. You're down bad.
enslaved, if they rise up and use violence to liberate themselves, then that is probably acceptable because they had material conditions in which violence was being okay. So
Like the Nazis?
rising up against the Nazis was acceptable. Yes.
No. After World War I, the claimed that bankers were holding the country down through.
And that was false consciousness because that wasn't actually happening.
Here it
That was
is.
false
Here it
consciousness.
is.
They constructed a moral utilitarian rule that did not align with reality.
They were not utilitarian. Wait, the Nazis were not utilitarian. Careful with that. They were very, very not utilitarian.
The point is that their ideology was not aligned with reality.
How can you tell?
Because they don't actually control banks in the world.
There was a disproportionate number of control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic.
All right, Vaush, we're done here. Thank you. Goodbye. This is that's all I need to hear.
You don't have an ethical. Oh my god. I'd run too if I was him. Oh, that was good. God, I can't believe people in my community like that guy. That was funny as hell.
These hands are just
You
too
gotta lean into
good,
the
man.
clips. So you gotta lean into. Oh, in case anyone's curious about what's happening there, that guy was actually too stupid to have a conversation with. He actually thought that the construction of an ethical system and using hypotheticals to understand ethics meant that you were some kind of anti-material idealist. He was dismissing the concept of philosophy. Marx was a philosopher. I mean, like Marx would be like laughing. Yeah.
Well, if Marx would be
Yeah,
laughing, then he must be an idiot,
Did he learn
right?
anything though? I feel like for a bit there, he got close to understanding.
I should laugh at him.
He got close to understanding when I was asking, like, well, why is freedom wrong? Why is suffering wrong?
Yeah, he
So on
pulled
and
a
so on.
Mr. Gruel.
Yeah. Dishonest or stupid? No, I think I don't know. He might just be stupid. Vaush, give us an actual lesson on real utilitarianism now, please. I'd like to see how you'd answer these questions. Dude, this is so easy, man. It's so easy, okay?
Okay.
So, as a moral anti-realist, I don't think there's any way to objectively determine what is good or bad in the universe. However, I do think that you can build systems which adhere to subjectively determined moral principles that we call axioms or first principles. My first principles pertain to the well-being of sentient people. The actual specifics aren't that important because things get fuzzy when we're talking about meta-ethics. The real utilitarian sort of mindset is things are good if the outcomes of the actions not only have a positive utility, but lead to the construction of rules which also have positive utility. So using that ethical framework, you can then go back and look through all of human history and have like a strong understanding of whether something is good or bad. You know, there is no ethical system that'll give you perfect answers to everything. Dialectical materialism is fairly similar in the sense that it's a framework for understanding. The dialectical materialism is not an ethical system like he seemed to think it was. Do you ever think about using less inflammatory hypotheticals to avoid clip more? I don't care. Also, it happens anyway. Who cares? Jesus. You guys are the most annoying part. You're like, clipped. Who cares? I don't care.
And clearly you care. You just said that they were annoying.
I feel like any obligation that I had to take him seriously probably vanished when he was giving me shit for being mean to his wife. And then there was a tweet of Luna calling me a pedophile, and Nonecompete was like, well, technically you shouldn't say it. You know, it's not the same. And she's just quoting it when it wasn't even a quote. And then I was like, well, can I explain why it's wrong? He was like, no, that's idealism. Like, yeah, no. I know there are still going to be people in my community who who post to my Reddit and are like, I think Vaush was really uncharitable. But guys, the God's honest truth is that I was really nice to Nonecompete. I was really nice. Look at how quickly his worldview falls apart. Like, he couldn't answer anything, like basic ethical questions, and he was like stumbling. Like,
wait, what happened to the guy earlier that just said that, like, I liked being mean. Being mean is fine. I'm okay with being mean. Let's be honest, man. You were a bit mean. This was a bit mean, right? I don't think the now I don't think Nonecompete was I don't think Nonecompete was necessarily mean. I think he was just I want to say bad faith. He was just
Enjoy
he was not being very honest with his I think it was incredibly clear when it came to him talking about Luna's conduct that I was like, okay, dude, you're just you know you're lying. Like, there's no way you don't know you're lying. Like, there's just no physical way he didn't know that he was telling untruths. So yeah, I don't know about that. Nonecompete was Cornman, aka Alcool Jake. There you go. Still lying. Yeah, it's like it's just dishonest. He's very clearly squirming.
like, well, the freedom to live. Like, yeah, they have nothing. You know, it's really pathetic. By the way, just to be clear, the reason why. The reason why I'm okay with being mean to these guys is because they're like the cancer of socialism. You know?
He's okay. Wait, so he's okay with being mean to them, but he wasn't mean to them? Or is he trying to, like, cover for himself for whoever says he was mean when he says it? Like, listen, dude, just admit, you were a bit mean. It was a bit mean. But I don't think being mean was unwarranted in this discussion. Like I said, I think the dude was being pretty dishonest. I don't think it was unjust for him to be mean. It's just weird that he's like, I was pretty nice. I was incredibly nice to him. I was really? I mean, he started literally saying, why is it bad to be racist to your wife? I think, like, by many metrics, this would be, and in a dishonest fashion. We all know that, like, Vaush knows why it's mean and shit, and Nonecompete clearly didn't understand why he was saying, well, go ahead. Why is it wrong to do this? Like, trying to get a ethical argument out of Nonecompete so that way he could deconstruct it. Shit is a bit mean. He probably should have just been like, well, can you show me how your ethical system comes to conclusions in regards to, for instance, the racism against your wife? We all know why that's wrong, but I'd like to hear from your moral system why that's wrong. It's probably something he should have done. But I understand why he did what he did, why he memed the way he did. And the only problem that I have is that he doesn't seem to think it was very mean to do.
I mean, like, the existence of people like him are worth like -3 me's. They're like a.
That's not where it started. I agree.
Leftwards from people like that
but
are like a harm to the movement. You know, you're being built to at best have a poor understanding of these issues. We didn't even get to dialectical materialism. The idea of being educated on philosophy from that guy is laughable. But there are people. That's a bit harsh. No, I don't think so. I think it's fine. You know. The thing is, I really don't think that what I'm asking is like a really high bar. Like, pardon me for coming off presumptuous, but if a person is making content online for socialists, I expect them to not think that the concept of a hypothetical is Hegelian idealism, which entails not actually acting on reality. Like, I think that's a really basic supposition. Like a really, really basic belief system, you know what I mean? It's like a very low bar, you know, you can expect them to go over. I mean, the thing Vaush said about banks was pretty stupid, considering Nazis' views on bank ownership was incoherent nonsense. So, Matty is Chaos, I don't know if you noticed what was going on there, but I was posing challenges to his system to see if there was any consistency in how he would address this question.
Thank you, man. 2 years.
For 5 minutes and then left. I'm going to say what I believe,
Thanks,
which is
brother.
I don't actually think they're left-leaning. I just think they kind of lucked into the right system, you know? It's like Professor
Morally
Flowers.
lucky?
I think that Professor Flowers is basically just an anti-white racist who stumbled into a misunderstanding of decolonial terminology. You know? But there will always be people, there are always bad people who will mask their ideology through sort of euphemism and adjacent positions. You've got people like them. There are people on the far right who are like this. Guys, how many super far right fasci types cloak their positions in the front of like nationalism, you know? Not like hyper-nationalist, fascist, whatever, you know, but just like regular American nationalism. That's like the most common thing in the book, you know? After the Reagan administration, or after the Nixon administration, we had the whole Southern strategy talk about how language on race got euphemized into being about, you know, tax codes and forced busing and crap like that, you should always be on the lookout for people with really bad underlying ideas, dressing it up in ways that sound good to you. And if non-compete can't mount an ethical argument against the Holocaust, if he doesn't have an answer to that, then he has no right talking on these issues, you know?
I think I might have lost this dungeon. There's too many enemies around. I'd have to
I don't care. Listen,
and out.
there are a bunch of directions you can go in this. I do think a lot of people on the left are just castrated whiteys or whatever, who just refuse to disagree with women of color. You know, like, there's only so many times I can see. I can only see the same pattern so many times, where, like, some woman comes out with some insane shit and people defend them or whatever. Vaush, you definitely know people aren't going to get the difference between you hanging up on Mr. Girl and this preempt them. I didn't hang up. What? That'd be kind of a reach.
I'd say he got Mr. Girl.
You were discussing his ethical system, and that's what led to the hang-up. Well, I don't think he's very bright. It just makes it seem like you're defending his stance being correct. No, I think if you're a reasonably intelligent person, you can understand that I was challenging him to construct. I literally said, in the middle of that, I literally said, oh, I agree with Marx. I value freedom. I think those things are important. I'm challenging you. And then I continued, you know. But that's okay.
Poof. All right.
You're anti.
All right, let's, do we have the post-debate panel? Do we have that? Is that something we can get, the copium panel? We get that? Anybody got it? Marx was a racist? True. Absolutely true. Historically accurate, honestly. Is there any Mr. Girl content lately? There is. He spoke to Cherry. We can watch that. Fumble chance plus... Yikes, dude. I'm gonna need a lot of alcohol for this one. Yeah, I just straight up don't think I can do this dungeon. It's literally gonna just kick my teeth in. I f***ed up really bad. There's like, the entire dungeon is now at the mouth of it. Not really much I can do here. Do you think Mr. Girl is a League player? In spirit. Yeah. Spirit. Hold up. I gotta get this on my own. I gotta find the non-compete,
Unwavering purpose.
Oh, the non-compete. I want to find the copium. Thank you, Lethal. Is this time stamped? It is not. So you'll probably be banned from my chat room. Swiftly.
I had to cut that short. I apologize. I'm stunned. I don't know.
Dingleberries in chat want to fucking come at me about this. You can come at me about this, and you and I can have a conversation about it. The point that I'm trying to make is, no, the longer that Vaush gets to say all of the shit that he's saying, just like EJ was saying before about
skulls for the Skull Throne.
Skulls for the Skull Throne, indeed. Thank you. Osu, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the 10. Towards Total War Warhammer 3. Get it.
Like, just like I can just
Blue
be
eyes,
like,
white
I can just say the most
destiny.
radical things.
Why is it that whenever these people have a support group, it's always a support group? Like, they bonded over their hatred for one person. Like, get a fucking life. Like, you get literally the blue-eye conspiracy geneticist in the fucking room. Then you get Dr. fucking Professor Weird Flower fucking Rose shit, right? And then you get, who the fuck else joins this shit? It's like the Destiny Vaush hate group. You get into the fucking thing. It's just like the racist Power Rangers. You get all here. But whatever.
And I can just say it's a fucking meme. And it doesn't matter. Why this is bullshit is because a lot of the times, especially when Vaush is trying to talk about shit, he's talking about marginalized people.
Marginalized.
And our lived experiences aren't bullshit. Our lived experiences aren't hypothetical. Our perspectives aren't something that you can just imagine about, that you can just grind your own personal axioms on and like be like, I've solved your fucking problems from my fucking privileged perspective. No.
Privilege.
There are real fucking stories. And what started all of this is the fact that you and your community, not for the first time, have taken it upon yourselves to laugh and belittle the lived experience of a person of color.
Not a person of color, surely not.
And you validate that off of fucking like I hate to say this fucking term, identity politics. Like that's what it is. Like
how dare he go at the marginalized people of color and realize that he might try and hypotheticalize or idealize the marginalized people of color's plights through his dialectic materialism. How dare he do that? How dare that id polar do that? Oh, that's broken. That's so broken. Huh? I literally got pushed back into the doorway?
Many people so many people that I banned were just like ML tanky gulag, like, you know, like, oh, of course, like you're banning everybody who dissents with EJ, like that's what I expect from, like, you know, these fascist moderators and blah blah blah.
Kind of fash though. You can't deny. Kind of fascist.
Planet do you exist in?
Kind of fascist.
Where like
not gonna
the concept of being
kind of true.
The concept of being banned in a chat so that you can't defend your daddy's position on how many there were or were not potentially after World War I in the German banks means that because you're banned for that, that means that all of a sudden it's a fascist state or it's a fascist channel or it's like, you know,
sounded pretty fascist.
What?
That's true.
How are you like how is this like fucking real for you? Like I cannot.
You can't what? What can't you do?
Oh no! Toyotanic. I.
What can't you?
This isn't my channel, and EJ is going to get enough shit as it stands, and so is Luna. So I don't want to like have,
he's watching,
you know, it's kind of
right
like
now.
that thing where it's like the views and opinions of the guests don't necessarily represent wholeheartedly non-compete as an entity, like that sort of thing. Like that's the kind of thing that I want. I want there to be some sort of plausible deniability in the same way that Vaush wants there to be plausible deniability anytime he's caught with his fucking pants down and he's like defending something like, I don't know, or child or fucking, I don't know, calling black people fucking comparable to Hitler, like any of these things, or saying that trans people are, or whatever the numerous things that he's fucking said in the past towards marginalized groups. Like I'm just saying that, you know,
let's get our almanac of bigotry and try and fucking parse through this Morse code that these people are saying to figure out what the they think Vaush said a while later. Listen, I'm not even a fan of Vaush. All right, I think he was unbelievably dishonest in the conversation that he had with me. Right, like incredibly dishonest. But it's pretty cringe. You get this is pretty fucking cringe. What the fuck is this shit, dude? Like what? What the fuck is this shit, man? Like, Jesus, man, if you're going to actually have something to say about somebody, an actual argument that you're especially going to bring into the light of day, like if you're just doing it in private, the fuck I care. But if you're bringing an argument into public that you believe or you're trying to put out there as something legitimate to talk about, I hope with every fiber of my being that you bring a little bit more than what these people have to bring, which is the oldest, not salient points that exist for Vaush that like everyone's seen a billion times. Like, dude, you're trying it.
Of my homies here, EJ and Luna, the same plausible deniability that
are you black? You're not allowed to say homie. I revoke your ability to say that.
That Vaush and his ilk provide for
Do
themselves.
you want Idpol? I'll give you Idpol. I'll give you Idpol, dude.
Just throwing that out.
I'll show you real Idpol.
And there are people in the chat who are disagreeing that are not getting banned because they're just making points and that are reasonable, right? So I mean, anyway. Also, okay, here we go. I got a few chat comments. What?
He was stealing AAVE. Yeah, that's my language. All right, that's my speech.
I'm sorry, that was hilarious. I could not laugh at that.
Like seriously? And
because it's such a perfect example of idealism. Because it's like
how should apply to write like script for like Hollywood movie or something.
Well, his comes from a Hollywood family,
Oh yeah.
His parents are like big shot producers or something like that. Okay.
Really? I didn't know this. Is this true?
I'm not saying his arguments are invalid because of his blah, 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 blah. That's like people don't understand the difference in an ad. What are you talking about?
K-Claw said that like they can barely hear you.
Who?
K-Claw.
You can barely hear who? Amazons or us?
You. Us.
Maybe because I don't know.
Yeah, they are pretty quiet.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it. But I agree. I welcome dissent. I don't want people just coming in and being like, hey, why'd you run? Why'd you run? Like, that's not dissenting views. That's just people harassing. Okay.
Dude, play an online video game for a week. Play an online video game for a week. I prescribe these people. All right, I'm a doctor. I just got my MD. Play an online video game for 7 days. All right, and you'll know what harassment actually. Saying, "Oh yeah, you pussied out," is not harassment. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not harassment. If you think that shit is harassment, dude, holy fucking shit. I see why you complain about it all the time online. Oh my God. I'm probably the most harassed person in the history of mankind if that's harassment, dude. Like, dude, people talk shit all the time. It's just talking shit, dude. Fucking grow up. Didn't he say he was 30? He said he was, you grown-ass fucking tax-paying man. Probably got a goddamn mortgage, dude. And you're fucking talking about how it's coming in and saying, oh yeah, see, you backed out, coward, is fucking harassment? You ain't catch me dead, dude. You're not gonna catch me dead saying some shit like that, dude. No shot.
Having a good ethical framework is good, actually. I have a very strong ethical framework. I just ran through some of the foundations of it.
Didn't hear it.
My ethical framework is grounded in material conditions. Period.
So once again, it doesn't matter.
Oh, thanks.
Like, as much as everybody in the chat
Thank
is
you.
trying to
Appreciate
frame
it.
this as like it's just a conversation, like how are they're trying to frame this in a way of it shouldn't have ended this way. You should have let the conversation go on, right? Like, if once again
Really
there's this idea that if your argument is rooted in like the best framework, it should stand up on its own, yada yada yada, all of that shit, right? The problem with the take havers, the problem with debate bros, the problem with people like Vaush is their whole point of existence is to not be wrong and to be take havers.
Ooh.
That is it.
Ooh.
So in order for them to continue make sure that they continue to get that bag, or that they can, even if it's not their bag, even if it's just for like social clout and to defend themselves because their axioms are more grounded than whoever they were talking to, just for this performance of it, they will take everything to the most obtuse extremes.
Obtuse.
And if that wasn't evident by the fucking aliens comment, I don't understand. Like, why? Like, how are you defending this? Like, how can you say that that the conversation is good and grounded when like every time that like you levy like a real world example, or every time that you put forth like, hey, this is exactly what was said, I am reading a quote literally from a book that is in front of my face, and you sit there and then you look at me and you say, no, I disagree with that, and I'm going to take the 3 words that you said before you read the quote, and I'm going to fight you on that position instead. And now let's talk about the fucking age of consent. And like all of a sudden it's just like now you're pulled into like a completely different fucking topic. But no.
Yeah, I think this person is experiencing psychosis. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. What are they trying to talk about right now? Whatever, it's their moment, all right? It's their big moment to try and make a name for themselves or whatever. At this point, I don't know if it's a grift or whatever, but they seem to be making a really big deal out of everything as soon as the camera gets on them, so seems like they're getting what they want. All right, it is what it is. We'll see what shakes out.
His sycophants, his fucking chat, everybody that fucking
his guests. I pause in the video,
sniffs
or
his
I
anus
report you to the authorities.
will fucking come out of the woodwork and just be like, you didn't give him a fair shot. You should have fucking debated it down to the fucking pebble. You should have fucking you should have like just kept it fucking going until the fucking heat death of the universe. Until I personally understood as his fan that he is absolutely completely wrong. Even though, as his fan, I have invested not only months of my time cumulatively into his content, or money, like hundreds of dollars of my own money into his platform. Like I like that's my vested interest in making sure that he is correct. Because if he isn't correct, I have not only wasted my time, I have wasted my dollars that I need to survive on this fucking planet. Like that.
Does he think that there's specific people that like donate, and then those are the people that like? Ooh, I got a level. Bitch. I'll be back. Oh no, I didn't get a splint, man. Oh my god.
That is how far up like his a lot of people who come out and defend his fucking rhetoric are. And I'm not saying that Vaush needs to change. I honestly don't think he will ever change. As long as he's continually rewarded by fucking super chats and donos and direct fucking people just giving him fucking money and all this shit. And every single time that he hears a fucking ting or a fucking alarm that means that money's in his fucking bank account, he will continue to feel validated in his fucking takes, and he will continue to fucking give them. So what needs to be done? What should be asked? What should be asked is that people who saw this conversation, the people who actually have seen the pattern of aggression that Vaush has had for people of color and for people who stand up to him,
that
every countless time,
attacking
look at
the
that
people
shit
of color,
and ask yourself what the you're doing in that type of community. Ask yourself that if like you truly believe that like, oh, I can participate in online and it will lead to some sort of change in some fashion. If you think that you're doing that in Vaush's community, you are wrong. Because all you're doing is you're taking up time when other people could be talking about more fulfilling things. All you're doing is taking up time.
All right. I don't want to watch these losers creep in for the next fucking hour. So, we're going to the big stuff.